We are so back. And let's see if it works. My God. I think I'm streaming on both YouTube and Twitch. I'm not sure I can completely verify, but I think it's happening. Let's try. Well, hello everyone, it's me, the Gravity Gestalt himself, Hannibal Ludus. Welcome back to my stream, to the Twitch returners, and to the YouTube enjoyers and everyone in between. I think I'm coming in alright, I hope so. And, yeah, I got some company with me today. We're going to be playing a little Stellaris, not just playing it. We're going to be going through a quick, I'm probably going to make this 15 to 30 minutes depending, a quick rundown of how to get going in Stellaris so you feel a little bit more comfortable playing this game. No further introductions needed, let's just jump right into it. Alright, so we're going to go with a new game. And here's where we're going to start. If you are truly new to this game, I do highly recommend you go through the pre-made empires. Look for words that you know and are a fan of, like Irenic dictatorialship. You know, it's the kind of government where like a princess or a king is like the good ruler, everyone loves him, it's King Arthur and all that, so they're happy with it being a dictatorialship. It's okay this time. Then you got elective monarchies. You know, we elect our kings and queens until their line gets a little too out of the line. All sorts of different things, right? Holy tribunals, theocratic republics. We are an ethical group of people who believe in God. Maybe you're more of just straight up a rogue defense system. I gotta protect my bio trophies from themselves and everything out there. Whatever you choose, find something in here, Megacorp. Find something in here, moral democracy. Find something in here that makes you happy, all right? But to make this a real how-to, we're gonna jump right into making a new empire. So let's create a new one. I've made a few. Definitely had a theme going for a little bit, but let's go and create a new one. First things first, you gotta decide on how you look. And that's kind of true for how you play, too. At some point, you have to decide if you're going to be there we go. A robot people, you are only allowed to play as certain types of government civics later on. So if you want to be machine, make sure you either have all the DLC, or alternatively, just make sure you're ready to play certain play styles. But most people, especially for first-timers, they like to choose some sort of biological species. And I think that's a good call. I think that's a good starter. Synthetic looks crazy. I think we're going to start with either a real common favorite, or we might jump to a slightly, you know, well, I mean, I do kind of like some of the lizard people. They look kind of cool. Not gonna lie. Even the four eyes, they're kind of cool. Let's go with what? A mammal or a reptile? Mammal? Reptile? Mammal? Mammal? Okay. Let's go with... You know what? We're gonna be the platypus people. We're gonna be platypus people. Alright, that's who we are. I'm gonna go with the randomizer because I think that's just a lot easier sometimes than naming stuff. Oh, chat, do you not have visuals? Interesting. Let me see about this. No, it seems to... Could you... One moment. Do you... When you say you have no visuals, what do you mean? I am dual streaming, so I'm not sure how this is working. No gameplay visuals. Interesting. Huh. What if I go here? Is it better now? How about on your end? Looks good on that side. Yeah, it looks the same on both my screens. No, okay, hold on. Yeah, I'm confirming a different source. I got visuals on my end. Huh, I don't know what to tell you. Try reloading maybe, because, I mean, someone's looking at my screen on their mobile device, and there's gameplay on that screen. I'm positive. I mean, I'm trying to make sure this thing is this is a guerrilla stream. I can't remember the last time, like, you know, yeah, do your thing. I appreciate the public chat helping me out. I do appreciate it a good bit. All right, let's get back to this. Now back to my no more scruff streaming. I know this was impromptu, and I feel like I've already wasted enough time. So let's get back to it. Species name. Perfect. I love it. Savanti. We're the Savanti. We've always have been. All right. All right. And now we're going to mammalian names. Let's see. You know, I don't like hyphened names. I feel like that's a cop out. So we're gonna go with the ones with the den in between. I like that. We're gonna go with that. All right. Knock that off the name. All right. At this point, we could stick to traits. But I think traits are something you should pick later. We should instead go to origin. After you've picked your appearance, your screen name, a species name, and your name list, go to origin. Once you get to origin, take your time to look through these options and make sure you find one that best appeases you. I highly recommend for a first timer actually picking Prosperous Unification. It's a nice, simple boon. And don't get me wrong, I have mods enabled right now, so I have some crazy ones, like starting on an equatorial shipyard, and also an Alderson disk, and a decaying birch world in the center of the galaxy. You know, normal, balanced beginnings like that. But for the majority of you guys starting off on vanilla, if not Prosperous Unification, I actually kind of recommend things like, I have more than a few mods. I have a few recommendations like Clone Army. I recommend the Remnants. Remnants is great if you're a first timer. It gives you something to do with your homeworld that makes the game a little bit more interesting. If you want to give yourself a little bit of a difficult start, Life Seeded is actually both a good and a bad start, because then you gotta terraform as soon as possible, not to mention look for other Gaia worlds, the rarest of world in the galaxy, and usually a holy world. But for us, I want to keep it simple. I want to keep it sweet. I want to go back to Prosperous Unification. 4 extra population and some extra generator and agriculture districts. Nice and simple. Let's go. Once you've picked your origin, go ahead to Government and Ethics, and we'll actually come back to this page once more, but here's where you're going to start to pick what kind of people your people are. First things first, you have your authority. Now hold on. I'm not saying authoritarian, I'm just saying the authority type. We have democracy, we have oligarchies, we have dictatorialships of the most basic sense, and we have imperials if you like to have a little bit of a namesake to your empire. We have hive minds and gestalt hive mind machine intelligence. And I will say that speaks true and wholesome to me, but this is about teaching you guys how to play. So we're going to stick away from that for the moment. And then there's always corporate. The likelihood of what we're going for here on Earth, apparently. But we're going to stick away from corporate. I'm going to go for the democratic route. All right? Choosing democratic and then ethics allows for a lot of different options and opens up civic points, which is what you'll be using later on. All right? First things first, we're going to go ahead and check out. Let me actually close down one or two things here. Yeah, there we go on that. There we go on that. Great, 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 great. Just looking around at my stuff. Yeah, we're set. Okay, great. All right, let's choose, because I like wholesome stuff. You had you at oligarchy. You know what? Fine, because oligarchies can serve a purpose too. We'll have oligarchies, and instead of being complete jerks about it, we're not going to go the classic oligarchy route, which is usually some sort of authoritarian in some way. No, no, no. We're going to go the opposite route. We're going to make it so everyone has a voice in this oligarchy. But everyone likes stuff. And we like aliens. That's a good mix. Now, you could choose to do 3 greens, or you can choose to do 2 greens and 1 red. I'm sorry, 1 green and 1 orange red. If you choose an orange red, you are fanatical in that regard. And that's fine. You know, that's fine. Just so you know how it works. You are, at that point, devoted to that type of ethics. Personally, I like to have a little bit more of a branching feel, so we're going to go and choose 3 green blues. All right? Great. All right. Let's see what we got here. I'm a big fan of the technocracy, because if we're going to be an oligarchy, we might as well keep the archies going and be a technocracy at this point. So, science dictatorate, we are indeed. Science! That's what we care about. That's what we're going for. But because we care a little bit about the people, let's go ahead and have... Oh, I forgot Beastmaster's a choice this time around. We could be Beastmasters. But let's do enlightened liberalism. That's pretty good for a lot of early game consumer stuff. Now, when it comes to early game civics, there's no wrong answer, because you can adopt other civics later. You can even drop civics later and pick up other ones if you do so want. So don't be afraid to experiment with your civic choices, but go with what feels right, all right? Here's where a lot of the role-playing of Stellaris comes out a little bit more, is in the civics and the ethics state, all right? We'll leave that be for the moment, but we might be coming back to the screen, because we're going back to traits. Now that we're at traits, and because we haven't picked any kind of special, single world habitat, we're going to go ahead and start checking out the different types of traits that you can have for your species. Now, negatives can be useful. I personally like picking unruly. Yes, it makes early game Unity a little bit of a trouble. I fully admit that. And that can be trouble itself. But because a lot of the stuff you get from Unity is late game helpful anyway, I don't feel like you're missing out too much. But if not unruly, you could always go with slow breeders, but be careful with that. That is indeed a thing to consider later. Non-adaptive is also not a bad choice, but it does definitely pigeonhole you into like, hey, it's slightly habitable, not for me. Just be careful of that. But we're going to go with unruly because we're platypus people, and that just seems like a platypus thing to do, Okay, great. But you know what? Because we're platypus people, we're so good at swimming, we're just natural engineers of building inside certain habitats and movements and things like that. We're just the best. We're pretty intelligent, too. I'm going to go with that. But with our final point left, because you'll see you have trait points and trait picks. Picks basically stays the same number. Points, however, can be something to keep in consideration. That is why I picked unruly, so I could pick both engineers and intelligence. Let's get that science going after all. 25% increase on science from the very beginning is not a bad deal. But to be a little bit fun with it, and because we're unruly, let's go ahead and have talented. That makes our leaders a little bit more dependable leaders, and that's not a bad deal at all. Once you have your traits picked, let's go ahead and go to names and class. Have some fun with it and everything, but I obviously have a mod installed that allows for a ton more options when it comes to planet classes. But for the most part, you're basically just picking between continental, ocean, and tropical. And desert, arid, and savanna. And then Arctic, Alpine, and Tundra. Those are your basic options in the game, are those 9 choices, and that's totally fine. Personally, I'm a big fan. Since we're platypus people, we're not going to do ocean, we're going to do tropical. And because of the mod I'm using, we're going to go ahead and find a nice little one here. Lakes. Oh, a lake world. You know what? There are certain places that are a land of 1,000 lakes. We're going to be the lands of hundreds, no, millions, no, 10 millions of lakes. That's how it's going to be. Alright, I've always liked a good binary, so we're going to go with binary 2. You can pick whatever you want for a starting system, and all it really does is basically choose what your planet setup and star setup is going to look like. There are some more set systems like these that have names that are always going to be the same, like the Sol system, which is, you know, the famous classic one where we live. And then there are other ones that are available if you have, you know, mods and not. But let's get right to my random binary 2. So we're going to have 2 stars clustered at the center of our solar system. Determines the layout, but not your starting system location. Alright, so homeworld name, let's just go with something... Actually, I don't hate it. What do you guys say? Paleria? Paleria. We're going to go with it. Alright. City appearance and room appearance. Whatever you choose here, it's not really too much of an effect. It's just, it's all flavor here. I'm gonna go with this one that looks like they were building underwater, because why not? Let's go with that too. Aquatic city, let's have that. We are, after all, the platypus people. Alright, back to origin, back to government. Anything changed with our traits? No, we're pretty good still. I think we're pretty good. Advisor voice. This may be the most difficult choice. You have to pick only one.
Whoa, space. Just think about it.
The obvious choice. Nah. SDD. Oh, I love it. You know what? We're doing it. We're doing it. Nameless. Go back to nameless. SDDN. Stind. Whatever. Empire name. The SDD. I love it. Alright, let's get a very sciencey flag. Oh, I think this is very sciencey. Yeah, there we go. Let's get... But personally, you guys know what colors I like, so let's go with some purple. Let's go with some green or orange. Let's see. I feel orange might be too bright. Red's too bold. Pink's too soft. I kind of like it. I'm going to go with it. We're going to go with that. Alright. Ship appearance. How about we go right to aquatic ships? Please take your time. Have fun with it. I, after all, have my favorite ship type, the Federation looking, you know. Don't judge me. I like my Star Trek ships. And I like them looking updated and classy. Look at that. It's so pretty. Just, God, what a classic design. Love it so much. Alright, I'm gushing too much. We're moving on. We're going to aquatic ship types. Why not? Yeah. Alright, there we go. Finally, we're going to go to ruler appearances and traits. Now here, again, this is mostly just flavor. Whatever. Pick what you want. There's not a lot of concern here because, after all, you may be starting with this person, whoever they are, but I guarantee you are not staying with them. Let's go. You know what? I actually kind of liked that. Let's go with that. Alright, great, good, and finally, ruler traits. We are going to not keep them as official. Deep Space Nine, yeah! Exactly. We're not going to keep them as officials. We're going to switch them over to a science class because this is, after all, a scholarly. I cannot speak tonight. A scholarly doctorate of dentura. What are we again? I don't even remember. The Academy State. The Academy State. You will go to school or else. I love it. We're sticking with it. Always go for eye for talent. I mean, feel free to pick whatever you want. There's actually no wrong choice. But I will admit the Eye of Talent is helpful early game, but you know what? I'm gonna go Spark of Genius because we do want to like kind of like rush that tech. All right, I think we're all set. So with everything set and saved, save this file, select done, and it's time to get to the starting screen. Ha! You thought creating an empire was a starting screen? That was just the introduction. Here's the actual starting screen. Alright. This is telling you how many other players will be in the game besides you. And this does include both fallen and random ones. We'll go to school or else it's phenomenal. Oh God, I wish we cared about schooling more in this world, let alone country. But moving on. How about elliptical, or we'll have some fun with a cartwheel? Maybe a starburst. Starbursts are fun. Spoked is interesting. You know what? The ring. Oh, with the mod would be so interesting. Yeah, we're doing a ring. We're doing the Sombrero Galaxy, everyone. That's where we're going. Now, at this point, after picking the type of galaxy you want and how big it's going to be and whatever, and choosing the number of AI empires and all that you'll have in the game, you can start right off the bat. I'm going to take us to advanced settings, and so we can talk about these things just a little bit. All right. We got the crisis type, which you can select which ones. If you're starting off the game, I honestly just recommend leaving it random so you see which one you get. Perhaps you'll be really lucky and get the synthetic queen right away. Evil. Crisis strength. I would normally bump this up, but we're just doing introduction, so keep it at 1.5 for your first time. The crisis is supposed to be a little scary. If you put it to 1 point itself, it's not going to be scary enough, I assure you. Make it difficult, guys. Make it fun. Scaling difficulty, we'll leave that off for now, but that's something that you might want to turn on at a later date. Same with difficulty adjuster AI modifiers. Maybe at another time. If you're starting off the game, I'd leave those off. But the AI aggressive being normal, don't fool yourself into doing low. Low doesn't mean they won't still dislike you. Low just means they're less likely to attack you. Do normal. Play a normal game for the first time. And same with the logistics growth and growth required scaling. Just leave those alone for the moment. When you start getting more comfortable with the game, we'll talk about how you can increase the growth scaling and or decrease it to make the game a little bit more fun if you have good enough RAM. But beyond that, technological cost, you should keep it 1 unless you want to power through it. And then same with tradition cost. And there's a lot more traditions in the mod I have, so it would be sometimes wise to decrease it, but again, meh. Alright, let's get to the important thing, the victory year. Unless you have a reason to increase it all the way to off, or the great year of 3,200, literally 1,000 years later from the start date of game, 2,500 is fine. Alright, Habitable Worlds. Now, for a first timer, I might recommend bumping this up just a little bit. Just so that there's more options for you so you don't feel so stranded, like, what do I do? Where do I go? No. Just bump this up so you have more worlds to be like ooh and ah over. All right. This is normally on 1. No. Do yourself a favor, especially if you're a first-time player. Just stick to a lower number for it. Don't take them out completely, but just no. All right. Oh. The heck? Did my sound just go up? Very weird. Oh, what happened? Huh. Hold on, I'm gonna figure this out. 1 second. You can hear me? Can you hear the game still? Is the game music still going? Oh no! I know what happened. My headset died. 1 second. Oh no, is that not plugged in? Oh no! Well, that's something I'll deal with eventually, I suppose. Thankfully, I have a backup. I am prepared for such an eventuality, for such an issue. All right. All right. That's right, ladies and boys and binary. That's right, NBs and everybody. I'm back. Okay. So, we're going to go to Empire Placement and Advanced Neighbors and Abandoned Gateways and Wormhole Pairs. So, first things first, Habitable Worlds, Pre-Sapiens, fine. Empire Placement, keep it random. Advanced Empires, if you're a first-time playing person, I actually recommend you disable that. Make it easier on yourself. Do yourself a favor. Okay, all right. I got my sound back. There we go. All right. Beyond that, let's see here. Wormhole pairs. I'll bump this up just a little bit. And same with Abandoned Gateways. You should experience them. That is indeed something you'll want to do. All right. More importantly, mid-game and end-game, keep those where they're at. You'll be fine. And then victory year, obvious, right? But the end-game start year is basically when the earliest year that the end-game crises or fallen empires will awaken. We'll talk about that maybe at a later time. But let's just keep it as when the big bad rears its ugly head, it's because the year 2400 is upon us. All right, Marauder Empires, sure. You got to have some, barbarians out there. Elgates, sure. Caravanneers, absolutely keep them on. And here's the final lesson. For everyone who's watching, please, if your RAM is 16 gigabytes or less, disable Xeno compatibility. Do not let the aliens procreate with each other. It will slow your game down. Too much horny will wreck a game. It's the truth. Once you have all of this set and done, get back to general settings, make sure you're all happy. Let's go ahead and hit play. No, it's true. Too much horny will destroy a game. I've seen it happen. I've experienced it. I'm not trying to say aliens can't love each other. They can have relationships that just don't have kids. And there's plenty to adopt, I assure you. All right. First things first. You're going to see a lot of mods pop up, but just ignore them. This is the normal screen you'll see when you first start off, is this. Telling you who you are, what you've chosen, your story, if you've given yourself one, or the auto-assigned one because of the way the game works. All right? Great. Let's begin. Don't mind me. Just setting things up. I will say this though, if there is one mod you're looking to try out, if you're looking to try out a particular mod, I cannot recommend Gigastructuring Engineering. It is ever so much fun. It's just probably one of the best mods in the game. And while it does break the game, it also fixes the game as it goes, so balancing issues do seem to hold out and hold true. Our world, Pelria, beautiful with its continental lake-type world. I don't want to manage it. You don't want to manage it. Trust me when I say this, just turn on auto designation to Empire Capital and then turn your automation on with this button right here. Once you've done this, you can pretty much forget about this planet and all your planets for that matter. Now, don't get me wrong. You might want to come in and mess with certain things, such as perhaps once you have enough money, getting rid of things like the industrial wasteland and the sprawling slums. You know, for appearances' sakes. You don't want the other aliens seeing you and being like, oh my god, you still have bums? I thought you were enlightened. And be like, dang, we haven't housed everyone properly. We are a failure. Don't let this happen to your civilization. That said, if you do want one pro tip, on your planet, go to population, go to jobs, go to, not rulers, not specialists, but workers. And I'm telling you, technicians are required. Miners are needed. Farmers are the backbone of any civilization. You just need like maybe one clerk. Like maybe one. It's just, bureaucracy is important, but like in the tradition of all government, just let it be slow. It's fine. It's not bringing in that much money, and it's more of an upkeep than it's worth. So whatever. Done. We're about to have 4 homeless, and that's okay. The 4 homeless are going to find jobs soon enough because we're an enlightened society. I told you so myself, so you gotta believe me. Once you're done with the planet screen here, and feel free to look around and everything, we're going to take a step back. We're not going to start the game yet. Do not press play yet. Instead, I want you to just sit back and click on things. You have notifications up here, like idle leaders. You have a minister of state that's doing nothing. Well, unfortunately, I don't think we can assign him to the governmentship because we already have a governor. But wait, maybe if we switch him, does that work? It sure does. Alright, so now we have another idle leader, and it's the head of research, but that's okay, because we're going to go to the shipyard and build a science ship for them to have. We'll get to that back to that in a minute, but I want you guys to go back to these icons up here. You have your idle leader. We'll take care of that in a bit, and then right-click when you're done. We then have a low stockpile. We haven't pressed play just yet. Just relax. But more importantly, we have the 3 researches. Please go out of your way to look at the research options. They will change every time you have this option to pick a new one. The tech tree does exist, but what you pull from the tech tree's options is randomized. So don't get afraid if you don't see the same option twice, it'll come back around. For now, we're going to pick research station output plus 10% because that's just solid. Anything plus 10% or higher is usually worthwhile. Select a research one. Now we have one. Anytime you see one outlined in blue like this, that means that you have permanently unlocked this option as a research option. So once you've picked something else and finished it, this will be a choice again. It will always be a choice until you finish researching it. So we're going to go ahead and pass that up. We're going to go to the, because it's an option, we're going to go to the eco simulations so that we can get better farm, make more food. Yummy. Finally, engineering, our strong suit. Oh, I personally have a soft spot for getting your robot population going as soon as possible. No particular reason. So we're going to go ahead and do that. 75, 76, 90 months, we're good. Don't worry about this just yet. We're going to have that be a thing in a moment. Toxic? My goodness, our moon is toxic? That's so sad. Probably too much League of Legends. Our moon watched Arcane, and I'm not going to make this joke. I'm just going to move on past it. Alright, before we click play, stop! Don't click start just yet. Go back over and look at the things over here on this side of the screen. The top bracket is for constant information such as your naval capacity and how full it is, how many star bases you have and what your capacity of them are. Now, if you go over your capacity, all it really does is start to give you fairly heavy but noticeable but minor penalties, such as increased cost per month and things like that. So if you go over your naval capacity while trying to fight a war, don't worry, that's okay. Don't be afraid to go in the red as long as you don't go completely under. All right, so it's okay. Envoys, we'll get to envoys in a bit, but that's how you discover new people as well as also research alien life to a certain degree. We have your empire population and empire size. Now, the best way I can describe this is empire population plus all of your stuff within the game, like planets and ships and resources that you've accumulated and space stations you've started to put out, plus your population equals your empire size. Your empire size is accumulation of all the different things in the game. We also have our rare resources, our research, and then our actual resources. Now, all of these resources here have actual value, are monetary, except for these two. These two are more of a concept. One is unity, and the other is influence. Unity is gained by how your people react and live and have tradition and culture in your empire. Influence is basically how strong and powerful you appear to the other empires in space, and your influence will wax and wane depending on a lot of things, from number of ships and people to what kind of relationships you have with certain empires. I know a lot of people out there want to be friends with everybody, but having a rival or two isn't the end of the world usually. So, like, you know, keep that in mind. Don't be afraid to, like, chillax and have some fun with it every once in a while, you know? All right. Oh. All right, there we go. Just had to send a quick message. Pardon me. There we go. Back to the game. Once you have the resources accumulated and you have an understanding of influence and unity, let's go to the pop-out. We have situation log, which will tell you things like, oh my goodness, we have this empire we have to research here. Oh my goodness, we have this thing that happened on a planet we have to investigate. Basically, these are Star Trek episodes waiting to happen. Oh, you heard the keyboard? I'm so glad. Clickety-clackety. I really should get a more quiet keyboard, but I do love this one. So, we have government. Now, the government tab we're going to stick around for a moment. You'll want to unlock the extra leader slot. You'll want the council slot, I should say. You'll want to check out what each of these things do to a certain degree. But most importantly, you'll see that you have your... what is it called? Oh, God. Yeah, agendas. Thank you. Your agendas are what give you small bonuses in the game as you go with your government. And it's not just that. Eventually, you'll start to unlock factions. And factions will actually give you more influence and unity, because they are the factions within your government that promote certain ideals. For the most part, the factions that arise are the ones based off the civics, the ethics you chose at the beginning of the game. And you can even see the ethics attraction down here. My goodness. My xenophile and materialists are the most popular, with egalitarian, far behind it, So there we go. We are an oligarchy after all. That's not too surprising. But policies and ethics, here's something you'll want to check out eventually and often. The policies, you don't mess with this too much, but you should be aware of what each one is, including things like your diplomatic stance, your war philosophy, your slavery and robotic worker allowage, things like that. But the edicts is where a little bit of fun comes in. You have an allowance of edicts funds. You have a certain amount that you can spend that doesn't affect your unity, all right? If you go over your edict fund, you start to take away from your unity. So you want to avoid that as much as you can. But sometimes you need to emergency defense initiative. You need to fortify the borders. Who knows? Those times will come. All right. Let's get to the fun part, if that hasn't already happened 1,000 times. Society management. Here is a modified society management. For the most part, it's just these 8 here. In fact, I actually think it's just these 7 here that you get to choose from. And then you get, I think, just, 8 of these ascension perks? I think that's it for you guys in vanilla. I have so many. There's not such a thing as too much in this game, especially when it comes to the traditions. I cannot recommend enough getting tradition mods. They're so much fun. They make your people feel unique. All right, technology. You kind of already saw what this was with your selecting of the technologies, and you can even see your tech tree. Oh my goodness. Oh, that's right. It opens up this. It opens up Steam. I keep forgetting that. But you got your researched one, all right? You got a lot of things to look through. You have options. It's fine. You got so much to do. Don't worry about it. Leaders, we have the ones that you have employed and ones you can hire of each type, from scientists to military to politics, all right? As you need to fill leader roles, you'll come here or be given an option through an icon to get them here. Now, the species tab is very boring right now, minus one thing. But for now, it is fairly boring. Setting rights is something you should be very familiar with. Even if you're all about everyone's equal and everyone's, should be accepted, be aware that living standards are something you should be very careful with. Personally, I do not recommend changing your living standard until you are feeling a little bit more rich in the economic senses up here. But eventually, you will absolutely want to go to academic privilege or utopian abundance. Pick one. Pick the other. I don't care. Maybe you have two groups of people with different, like sets, but like those are the two top for sure. All right. And then you can choose things like if they serve in the military or not, if they have colonizing rights. And keep in mind, colonizing rights and migration controls are very important if you're going to play an evil empire. You want to make sure that you don't let your slaves and prisoners go anywhere you don't want them to go without telling them to go there and enforcing them there with population controls. But since I'm trying to avoid that, you will, of course, want to allow everyone to do everything all the time, anytime, so that you can have better movement of populations through your empire so they can do the jobs they want to do. Slavery types and purge types are only for evil empires. We're not talking about that. But again, if you're an evil empire, you'll definitely want to pay attention to that, especially the slavery type, if you want to do, slavery. Which I can't deny, slavery early game is very helpful because it's a whole bunch of people you don't really have to care about that do jobs. It's great. I hate economics. All right, moving on. But we got the species, and it's only you right now, unless you had a special start that has more than one. You'll only see yours, and you'll see that you have your traits, and you'll see the number of people in the galaxy of your people. All right, it's showing the empire. You can also show galaxy. All right. Yes, slavery is very much a thing in this game. You can be Space Hitler if you want to be. I don't recommend it, but it is very much a viable strategy. You can do Warhammer 40k in Stellaris. It's not even that hard. Alright, so after looking at the species tab for a bit, we're going to go to planets and sectors. Again, this tab is a little boring right now, but as you get more sectors filled with more planets, filled with more population, this will start to fill in with more tabs. Creating vassals is useful for empires, like imperial empires and even dictatorial empires, but for the most part, especially if you're egalitarian and or oligarchy and democratic, you shouldn't worry about vassals too much. The vassals you'll be catching are the vassals you catch from other empires that you meet, not from your people that you create for the most part. I mean, we can talk about this a little bit later, but vassal creation is very helpful to a certain degree, but you also lose a bit of cohesion depending on where and who are in that vassal empire. But the managing of a sector is pretty easy. This, you can add systems and remove systems as it grows, and we'll get to that back to the galactic map in a moment. Expansion planner, oh my gosh, this doesn't even become remotely helpful until at least year 10, I feel like. But you will eventually be using this all the time to be like, wait, I have an empire in my, a planet in my empire that can be terraformed, and it didn't tell me. Go there immediately and pull that situation log. Whatever it is, you'll have things here that tell you where and how to best, expand your territory. All right. And here's one of my favorite tabs: the fleet management. All right, fleet management has sub-tabs besides it, but fleet management manager is important for creating new fleets, checking out what your fleet has in it, choosing what fleets you have. You can have multiple fleets after all. And of course, having the number of ships in there refitted and overwritten and upgraded and updated and repaired, whatever. You can even set the home base for them, as well as the fleet stance of passive versus aggressive towards whoever's coming into that system. It's wonderful to be aware of this tab at wartime. Speaking of war, ship designer. Here is where you get to have fun designing what your ships not only just look like to a certain degree, but more importantly, what they carry. All right? You will want to make sure that you have... For first-time players, you may wish to let it auto-generate designs and just go with what it tells you best. But at some point, especially against the Crisis later, you will want to specialize your weapons to being just red lasers if you're fighting against the Prothean Scourge, or just nuclear missiles if you're fighting against the the Hunters? The Plasma Hunters. You'll see what I mean. You'll see what I mean eventually. But you get to choose what your defense platforms have on them as well as your ships. I highly recommend getting familiar with this, and you should be most familiar with what you have over here as well as turning off auto-generate so that you can save your rolls. Alright? Ship rolls are useful to be aware of as well. They kind of give you an idea about what to start on, but other than that, the big thing to keep aware of is what types of weapons you have on any type of ship and what type of damage that ship will be doing, as well as what types of shielding they'll have. Are they mostly just hull and then you add on more armor? Are they a mix of armor and deflectors, or are they just all about those energy shields? That's up to you. Alright? There's definitely war in this game. This isn't just Excel spreadsheet the game. There is definitely war. Alright, once you've designed your ships and you're feeling pretty good about that and everything, great, you can update them, fine, whatever. We're almost there. Contacts will be useful later when you've, met people. And then discoveries is great for when you want to activate, relics and talk about your collections and all that stuff. That comes with game progression. That's not something available to you in the beginning, but it is something to pay attention to because bonuses and +5, +10, and +15s are not something to scoff at. Claims. So, speaking of war, in this game, you can absolutely start to claim systems so that you can start to say, hey, it's not your territory, it's my territory. If your rival has claimed a system and you're like, nuh-uh, I wanted that, you can make a claim for influence to say, I'm coming for that system because it rightfully belongs to me. It's a great way to get into trouble in this game. Alright, and finally the market. And eventually it will become the galactic market, which is a whole bigger set of, thing. But for the most part, the market is just the 4 basic resources of minerals, food, consumer goods, and alloys. It's not yet it's not yet cash, because cash is, how you buy all this stuff. And it's not yet the rare resources, because it's just our bare basic normal one that we have on our planets and or planets. But keep in mind, as you play the game, you'll maybe find yourself able to, you'll have a planet that's all about generating cash, and you'll have another planet that's all about mining all the goods, and you'll have plenty of consumer goods, and you even have plenty of alloys, but dang it, you are just starving out there. That's okay. Come to the market, get yourself a new monthly trade, choose what you need to buy, select the food you need, the amount, so make sure you have at least I recommend a +5 over what you need. So if you are at -9, go ahead and go to a 14. So that goes to the +9 you need, and then more importantly a +5 to start making, ready for winter amounts. All right. Now I know it says max buy at price and total. We'll get to that later when you have a more stable empire, but for now, you're going to be paying attention to this month by month, so just add it as it is. And you will buy the food at price. You will buy at price. And right now, at price, it is $1.30 for one food. That's fair. We will eventually get it to the point where at the market, we can inflate the market ourselves with our amazing whatever we have, to the point where we can have food go up or down in price. It's actually one of the easiest of the commodities to move in this game. All right? Thank you so much. Have a good one. Take care. Have a good night. Thank you so much for joining. I appreciate that. All right. And then finally, once you've done all of this stuff, it's finally time. Once you've explored all of this little stuff over on this tab, it's finally time to press play. Start time. Oh my god, I almost forgot. I'm joking. I'm sorry. I almost did kind of forget, though. You have 3 ships in your home system. You have your fleets. Oh, we've already encountered someone. Interesting. Hold on. Oh my god, there's so much happening. Pause. Okay. I can't believe we've already encountered somebody. Oh my god, it's a one system over. Who do we have? It's the space whales. It's the space squid whales. Everyone loves them. Well, there's a resolution to hunt them and kill them, but I always go against that 100%. These are the space whales. They're giant. They're debris eaters. They're lovely. We love them. They're cute almost, except not really. But let's get to the point of the 3 ships I was talking about. We have the fleets, we have your science ships, and we have your construction ships. We're going to science our way to construction. First things first, let's go ahead and start exploring things like the system with the life forms in it. Let's select our science ship and then right-click on a system and survey the system. Alright, you'll often be asked this option in the early game, and that depends on your playstyle. If you're all about the Xenos must die, well, I think I know which option you're going to choose. Personally, me, I'm all about greeting them with open arms, so we're going to choose that option. And another mod. Alright, that's fine. Oh, I'm sorry. I will often just buzz by these pop-up boxes because I've seen them so many times. But you please enjoy reading them. They're a lot of fun. They have some interesting flavor text. It really adds to the game. Alright. So remember how I said we had the space whales? I recognize them, but you may not know them. This is where you will select in your situation log. If you miss the pop-up, if it goes away, if you right-click on it by accident, then you would go to your situation log. That's where all of your Star Trek episode stuff happens. This is where you go to do the things that make the game flavorful. Alright? You have been given the task to research these aliens. Go to show first contact. So whatever you select in this list here, it will have its end result here and the show first contact, as well as things like track on map. Ooh, oh, very helpful. Oh, I know this. Oh, I know. As well as also show what you have to do. Click on that. We now have the Tau aliens that we have to research. Now, this is not the Tau like Warhammer. This is not a Warhammer reference, I assure you. But we do have this. Click on one, select, and start it up. There you go. At this point, once we select play again, once we start time again, this envoy is going to start researching these aliens. So let's go.
Ship's upgraded.
Hooray! Ship's upgraded to the newest design. Alright, so here's where Stellaris gets just a little slow and a little interesting. You're just starting. There is so much to explore in this game. Alright? Please don't be daunted by it. And feel free to look into the anomalies like this. But I will mention this real quick. Anomalies are helpful, but they also stop your science ship from exploring quickly the space around your home empire. I personally would leave anomalies and certain missions alone until you have explored a good little chunk of area and feel comfortable expanding into that area. Because the big thing, and we're going to speed up time to get there, speed up time just a little bit, is we want our science ship to finish up with 11 more orders. Oh, jeez. All right, well, you know what? That's okay. We're going to build another science ship. All right, and then, yes, absolutely do that. You'll see you have the anomalies up here, and we'll get back to them. We'll absolutely get back to them. Don't you worry. But for the most part, I want to make sure we explore these new lands. And I shall call these lands the land. The space land. Alright. We have, 2 science ships. Did I select 2 by accident? Whoops. Alright, remember how we had that one scientist that was a little doing nothing? Well, now they're doing something. They're exploring a system. Do I have enough unity to hire another scientist? I do, but that unity is going to go quickly. What do you got? You know what? That's up to you. If you want to explore the area you're in faster, I would recommend hiring another scientist, and there are even ones called, you know, with different traits on them that help them, you know, search and survey faster. We're gonna pick one. Why not? Oh, excuse me. We're gonna go ahead and do that, and we're gonna go ahead and put them in the science ship. And hey, remember how we automated that planet? You can do that with certain ships, like the construction ships. You can have them automated to auto-construct things if they have the funds. With science ships, you can also do that as well. You can have them explore systems and survey systems. You can even have them investigate anomalies, excavate archaeological sites, and research special projects without any issue. Personally, since we're just trying to expand, go ahead and have them do the explore systems and survey systems. Alright, so let's see how we're doing here. He has 13 to explore still. They have 5 more. So we're going to be finished with this system first. We're going to go ahead and... Oh, Council Agenda is finished, everyone. This will ring every once in a while. Go to it. Take advantage of the bonus that your government counselors decide to have with the ethics that you've unlocked and the civics that you've unlocked. Select the agenda. I personally always recommend either the monthly unity or the unlock another counselor position. Those are good choices. But then again, so is faction approval rating to get that higher influence and unity. And so is open arms so that you can get a little bit more immigration. But since we haven't met anyone yet, and we're not even friends with anyone we haven't met yet, I'm going to go with the evolving society. Available leaders who are lazy. Okay, so they have points. Now, I personally like to choose most of the selections, the choices here and everything, but for your sake of peace of mind and everything, and since you're still learning the game, I recommend auto pick traits. It will help streamline a lot. Alright? At this point, we are going to let time fly by a little bit. Let the icons pop up and deal with them as you will, because what we're just trying to get to is waiting for us to finish surveying this land. Only 4 left. He's got this. Alright. So, here is one of the last things we'll talk about before we get to the system claims. Traditions. Traditions and ascension perks. When you unlock a tradition, which affects the roleplay mechanics of your empire, but not much more. Yeah, it does. But you'll see what I mean. It does also unlock, after completing all the stuff in a tradition, it unlocks an ascension perk. And ascension perks are the big goals you want to set for yourself in this game. Besides just, you know, winning because it's a game, ascension perks are like the big, strong bonuses. It's the stuff that basically says, hey, now you can use the Force, or now you know how to turn worlds into Gaia worlds, or now your people are now cybernetic, or now you can now start doing, I don't know, amazing defense. No one's going to crack your systems. They're impenetrable. Whatever. Those are the choices you get from ascension perks, and there are so many to choose from, especially once you start modding the game. That allows you to really give your empire their own flavor. Truly a masterpiece of this game. We're going to go ahead and keep it real simple and do discovery right now because, again, I want to discover more stuff. I want to scan stuff. Alright, we also have unlocked a new agenda because we picked that tradition. New agendas are often unlocked through either new traditions or new civics, things like that. Alright, with everything said and done, we are so close to the end of this lesson. So close. How's this guy doing up here? Oh, wow, they're almost done with that system. Look at that. Actually, this is actually a good learning point, too. I'm going to let him finish. And they're going to finish here in a second. Amazing. Oh yeah, a few criminals are definitely a concern. Increase the benefits. Do whatever you need to make your planet a happy planet. Don't skimp out on taking care of your planet. It's worthwhile 100%. Alright, great. We're so close to being done. We're done with that.
System survey complete.
Excellent. Are you done?
Construction complete.
Oh no, they still have more to do? No, they're almost done. They're almost done. No, not quite. All right. Okay, so here's the deal. When it's time to claim a system...
They can talk, and they want to talk to
See?
us.
Space whales. All right. Once you're done claiming a system, and just so you know, the further out the system is, and if it's not connected directly to your current system, your current territory in some way, the price goes up dramatically. But once you're ready to claim a system, once your science ship has completely surveyed a system, they don't have to complete all the anomalies, they don't have to complete any missions, they just survey it and move on to the next surveyable, system. You can take your construction ship and you can right click on the system and build a starbase. That is how you start to expand. Well, we are almost done with today's lesson. It was a good hour and 10-minute long lesson. I think it worked very well for everybody. I hope at least it was a start. I know that for a game, an hour-long lesson might be a little intense, but I hope it was helpful and useful, all right? I think we're just about done here. There's always more research to do. There's always more things to do in this game. You will never run out of stuff to choose from. Even mid-game in this game is pretty heavy duty at this point, especially with all the DLC. And if you are friends with or dating somebody who has access to all the DLC, then basically you do too, because that's how multiplayer works in this game. So make sure you get yourself a good friend or a good lover. Other than that, and all my silliness combined, I think this was a really good guerrilla stream testing out the dual streaming. I had a lot of fun checking out Twitch again. It's good to be back on Twitch, and it's good to have YouTube. So I think, like I said, we're going to go ahead and save it here. We're going to save this game because I believe in this game. This might be a game we play just with chat from here on out. All right? But guys, what a good time. Right? I thought so. I thought so. We're going to go ahead and exit here. I'm going to go ahead and try out this button pressing thing I got going. Hey, it worked! Awesome. All right. So, I hope everyone had fun. Thank you so much for tuning in. It was really great to be back on both Twitch and YouTube. I know this probably ain't going to get a lot of views, but that wasn't really the point. But hey, good news. Thursday, Atlas, furry bait. We're doing it. All right, everyone. Have a wonderful night. Have a wonderful day. Have a wonderful evening. Have a wonderful morning. All that good jazz. And as I always like to end, keep on growing against gravity. Good night, all.